So the Dreams PS4 Early Access launched a couple of days ago, surprisingly with relatively little buzz. Actually, it came with so little marketing in advance that for a lot of people currently watching this video, this is probably the first time they even hear about the game, which is a real pity, because holy fuzzy, Dreams is something. So Dreams is the new game by Media Molecule, the studio that made the first two Little Big Planet games. At its core, Dreams is a community-focused 3D game engine. But it is actually much more. It is kind of Sony's take on making something comparable to Mario Maker, except that in Dreams it is also possible to make 3D platformers and twin-stick shooter and shooty bang bang games and movies and music and pretty much every other form of media. It's probably the most ambitious game ever developed. It basically allows everyone to create a game, but not only just to create a specific game, but like literally a game of every genre, even genres that don't exist right now. It allows hundreds of people that never even spoke a single word with each other to work together on creating a game. In a certain way, it opens up game development for anyone. In all honesty, it's completely bonkers. So in this video, we're going to take a look at this crazy ambitious user-generated content game. We'll discuss why such a game can't exist in theory and how Media Molecule was able to bend reality until this game became possible. So you ready? Let's do this. Okay, so I find myself in a bit of a strange situation with this video. So what I actually want to talk about here is how incredibly it is that something like Dreams exists and that it has the potential to make a huge impact on all of gaming. But in order to talk about this, we first need to talk about what Dreams even is in the first place, don't we? And as it turns out, that's surprisingly difficult. See, Dreams is a game engine that, because of its focus on cooperation, allows people to make games and pretty much everything else. I mean, this is Dreams, and this here is Dreams, and this, and this, and this, and even this. How is anyone supposed to explain how all of this works in a paragraph or two? So I'm literally on my fourth rewrite of the introduction to the game, and I think I just can't explain what Dreams even is just by talking about Dreams. So instead of talking about Dreams in order to explain Dreams, we're going to do this a bit differently. We're going to talk about my own history with game development tools in the hopes that this will help to make the point why Dreams is so special. I promise everything will maybe make sense in a second. So when I was 10 or 11 years old, I somehow got my hands onto the RPG Maker 2000. For those not familiar, RPG Maker is a very limited RPG engine that allows to make old school RPG games in the style of Final Fantasy VI. There was a huge German community around RPG Maker at that time, people who spent hours over hours in RPG Maker building RPG adventures for other people to play for free. As a kid, that fascinated me to no end. I spent many hours of my childhood creating small RPG adventures that no one ever got to play, and I spent an equal amount of time playing the finished games other people made, and a lot of those actually weren't bad games by any means. The footage currently in the background is by an RPG Maker game called Sternkind Saga, and this game is up until this day one of my all-time favorite RPGs ever made. When I was 14, I somehow got my hands onto Gamemaker, which is an easy to use but actually quite powerful game engine. A couple of popular games were actually made with it, Undertale being the best known. So I ended up wasting thousands of hours of my teens playing small Gamemaker games people put online for free and creating my own game projects. The footage currently playing are some of the game projects I made many years ago. So I never really planned to release a game or anything. I just really enjoyed making games as an end in itself. I learned basic coding and basic graphic design simply to implement my own ideas. The dream being that one day I actually finish a project and upload it for free onto one of those sites where we used to play Gamemaker games. So I never really finished the project, and while slowly transforming into something that somewhat resembles an adult, I also stopped to tinker around with games as a hobby more and more. Not because I wasn't enjoying it anymore, but because there is simply a truth I had to face. Holy fuzzy, making games is a lot of work. Even if you just do it as a hobby, the amount of work that goes even into the most simple games is unbelievable. There is so much going on in games that goes unnoticed, it's stunning. Let's take a look at a random scene from Odyssey to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Wait, No, that's the wrong Odyssey. We're going to take a look at this Odyssey. Also, this video is still about dreams, don't worry, we hopefully will get there soon. Okay, so here we have a random scene from the Cascade Kingdom. So someone had to model the environment, someone had to create the textures of the environment, someone had to model Mario and the chain jump. There is a particle effect on the ground when the chain jump chases Mario, someone had to make that too. The same is true for the particles when the chain jump bites. Someone made the waterfall, the leaves in the background, the little rock, the grass, the UI, and that's just graphics. Someone made the music, the waterfall ambient sound, the wop wop sound the chain jump makes, the chain sound effect, the sound when the circular dog bites. There is even a sound effect every time the chain jump hits the ground when jumping around. Someone had to animate Mario and the chain jump. Someone made this rock in the background, including the small dust particles that indicate that it can be destroyed. And we haven't even talked about any of the more technical aspects yet, like that someone needs to actually make the chain jump and Mario collide with the floor and give Mario the ability to walk and to jump. Creating just a scene like that takes thousands of hours of work, and this is assuming that one person is able to code, do animation, sound and music design and the 3D modeling required all on its own, which most people can't. The problem is the following: if we take away just a couple of the many pieces that create this little scene, everything starts to collapse. If there were no particle effects when the chain jump attacks, the whole attack would feel a lot less impactful. Same is true for the sound design and most obvious the animations attached to it. All these little puzzle pieces are required to create a fun game. Just creating this scene is more work than any single person has time for, let alone all the time required to make the complete game. Even with the best and most user-friendly engine, it can't be helped that it takes all those pieces to create a really compelling gaming experience. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where Dreams comes into play. Because the crazy witches and wizards at Media Molecule actually found a way to make it possible to create or at least contribute to a game for everyone. Dreams is all about sharing stuff you made, so that a different person is able to use it in a project. For example, it is possible to do 3D modeling in Dreams, but not only is it possible to basically create every 3D model you can think of, but, and that's the crucial point, it's possible to share it. So as an example, I made this fence thingy for a 3D platformer stage I built during the beta. It's an alright fence thingy, you know, it gets to areas divided, as it should. Here is my beautiful fence in action in the level I made. But after building this fence, I uploaded it so that everyone is able to use the fence. Here, for example, someone used it in a small Hollow Knight themed stage. Here someone used it in his or her multiplayer game about 4 robo-spinners that try to destroy each other. And there are a couple of other people who used my fence. In turn, I, for example, used those mushrooms in my 3D platformer stage. I didn't make them. The way I got them into my level was by opening the little search thingy in the menu, typing in mushroom, selecting the model, and hooray, I got a yum yum mushroom in my stage. So that's 3D modeling, but the thing is, such a system exists for pretty much everything you need to make a game. There is a really powerful sound and music editor in Dreams. So someone who is good at composing songs is able to create a great track, and then everyone can use the music in their level. The same is true for sound effects, animation, characters and complex technical contraptions. If someone, for example, managed to program a really complex fighting system, then all I'd have to do in order to get it into my game is to put it there. I, on the other hand, may build, I don't know, maybe a wind effect that starts to blow if a switch gets triggered, and then everyone who needs a wind effect can load it into his or her project. You see where this is going? Basically, a single person can't build all the assets required for a game. But what Dreams does is using everything anyone ever decided to share and to build a gigantic open assets pool composed from the work of every community member. And suddenly, all the assets you might need to make a game, like Odyssey, are there. All that's left to do is to put them together. That's Dreams in a nutshell, and it is honestly the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. You see what I mean when I say it allows literally everyone to contribute to a game? This is what makes me so excited about Dreams. See, I've been moving around in open hobbyist game dev communities for far over a decade now, and over again I was blown away by what people are able to do when putting in a lot of love and dedication into a project. Be it incredibly well designed Mario Maker stages, built around ideas that may not even seem possible at first, be it what the Minecraft community accomplished over the many years, but not only the Minecraft buildings and contraptions, but also the thousands of incredible and free mods out there. I played Warcraft 3 back in the day a lot, but I played much more custom maps people made than I played the actual game. Some of my favorite RPGs of all time were made in RPG Maker, and so on. If there is one lesson I learned in my life, then it is to never make fun of a clown. That's a long story. But if I had learned 2 lessons, then the second lesson is to never underestimate what a community is able to do if they have access to great tools which help them to coordinate their creativity. But all those communities I just mentioned were incredibly limited regarding one aspect. None of those communities had a tool as powerful and flexible as Dreams. And most important, none of those communities had an easy way to share what everyone built. But in a couple of months, Dreams is going to have a nearly unlimited pool of high quality assets, free for everyone to use. It's going to be completely bonkers what we're going to see in this game. Just take a look at a couple of examples from the beta. Someone recreated the starting area of the original Dark Souls and it looks beautiful. Someone made a really great looking prototype for a shooty bang bang type of game. The enemies don't even use hitscan weapons in this demo. I had no idea that this was legally allowed in 2019. Someone made this incredibly fun looking small puzzle scene about figuring out how to open a book, and someone made this small cave scene where a song slowly starts to play the further you move into the cave. Just to be clear here, building something like those examples isn't easy. It takes hours, and the different tools range from very intuitive to a bit tricky to use. There is definitely a huge learning curve, but everyone who is willing to put in the time it takes to make something really great is able to do it in Dreams, be it music, design, art, coding, even playtesting and curating other people's games. And this should allow for really great games to be crafted that otherwise would have never seen the light of day. The gaming industry is in a bit of a weird situation currently. AAA games are more and more expensive to make, which means that studios are less likely to take risks. We're seeing much more sequels than new original IPs, just because they're the safer bet. We're seeing certain trends that start to inhabit a lot of expensively produced games. Certain genres aren't really tackled anymore, like there aren't many 3D platformers outside of Mario anymore, and a lot of genres just kind of disappeared completely because the amount of people interested in those kind of games is nowhere close to what their development would cost. Just to be clear here, I'm not trying to paint the picture of a gaming industry that is in huge troubles or anything. Certain studios are, but overall the industry appears quite healthy to me, especially thanks to indies. What I'm trying to say is that certain genres aren't really developed anymore and that there aren't many studios willing to take huge risks with games. And Dreams might be able to fill a bit of this void, and maybe even to shake up gaming as a whole. Many huge trends in gaming often came out of nowhere, because some people were doing a pure passion project. An example would be Dota and LoL and the whole MOBA genre, which might not exist today if it weren't for some people toying around in Warcraft 3's editor. The whole idea of building and crafting had a renaissance after Minecraft appeared out of nowhere, or all the games that derived from mods. I'm honestly really excited to find out what great stuff is going to be created in Dreams. The whole environment of the game is brilliantly set up to allow different people with different strengths to work together in creating something really extraordinary. Best case, dead believed genres might revive and maybe even new genres will emerge out of Dreams. Worst case, I get a new free platformer and a new Souls-like game to play every month or 2. Either way, it looks really promising. Just one more note before we wrap this up. If anyone is thinking about buying the early access, the amount of copies they're going to sell for the early access is limited, meaning at some point it won't be possible to get access to the early access anymore. The whole limited copies thingy is really strange and I can't really imagine that they close down the access at some point, but I don't know. It's what they officially communicate, just so you know. And with that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed this little video. If you did, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and maybe you feel especially like creating a game with complete strangers today and want to hit the subscribe button as well. I hope that all of you have a wonderful day and see you soon. Goodbye!